Welcome to Kata Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
Hi everyone, Daphne Lage here. Join Nita Lanning and me on the Ragin' 2 the Vlogs show, where we talk about everything, nothing, and all the bits in between. Looking for hour-long conversations about indie comics, social media marketing, and crowdfunding, with the occasional rant and story time? Head on over to the Ragin' 2 channel on YouTube, Mondays through Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern to join in the chat.
Hit the button.
Ed Gein, Demon Hunter, on Indiegogo. After a deranged demon escapes the bowels of hell, Satan is forced to send a damned soul back to Earth as a demon hunter. Armed with a sacrificial dagger, Ed returns to his old stomping ground to capture the demon before the universe is destroyed. Ed Gein, Demon Hunter. Issues 1 and 2 available now on Indiegogo. Prepare for the ultimate face-off.
We've crossed paths more than once. I've whispered in your ear, shown you harmless little temptations. I am unknowable, yet you know me intimately. But you can always know me better. Collected here are 20 twisted tales that will thrill, chill, incite, and delight you from some of the most imaginative minds your species has to offer. This exclusive Indiegogo printing of The Devil You Know Better will be limited and numbered, with signatures from Mike Barron and Hart D. Fisher. Stretch goals achieved for this campaign will add interior chapter illustrations by Stefano Cardacelli. The Devil You Know Better. Back it on Indiegogo today, while you still can.
Your favorite podcast is Critical Blast.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, and tonight, that's all you need to know. Tomorrow, it will be a different story. Tomorrow is the day we go to launch. Yes, launch our very first campaign. No, I didn't say lunch. I said it's going to be a launch. There's a very important distinction.
Breakfast. Lunch. I said lunch, not lunch!
See, we're going the other way. We're launching. We're not lunching. We are going to be kicking off the hardcover edition of The Devil You Know Better. We are doing it tomorrow and you're going to have to check your watches for this wherever you are, because there's a lot of time zones. We're going to do it tomorrow on 6 at 6 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. So I will be on the air with the CG UK Bargain Bin Boys, and that is when we are going to flip the switch on this campaign and make it live. And then you can throw money at it, and we hope you do. It's going to be a really cool hardcover. It will be numbered. It will be limited to however many come out of this campaign, rounded up to the nearest 10 because, the printers like to have a nice number. And plus, we should have something in case something gets damaged, right? It's just a little bit of sense there. But otherwise, it's going to be limited to that. Tonight, we're going to talk about other things. And to do that, we have to have people to talk to. So we have Mike, George, and James. How you guys doing?
Yeah, not bad. Had a family loss this week, so.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
So.
That's never good. But was it expected?
I wasn't expecting it. I got the phone call. I was like, "Well, what happened?" And then when they explained what happened, I was like, "Okay." I will say this, folks: take care of yourself. Take care of your body. You only have one body to take care of. If you're diabetic, please monitor your insulin and everything. Yeah. And if you have to get medical treatments, don't skip them. Go see your doctor on a regular basis. So that's all I'm going to say about it. He was only about 6 months older than me. So,
wow.
It kind of hit home.
The older I get, the younger the people get who die around me.
And, it was just, he leaves a wife and 2 young children. So it's just one of those things. So, family's doing good. Everybody's around them, but, it's still hard.
Yeah, kids are going to miss him. He's going to miss, they're going to miss him throughout their life, throughout their moments that he should have been there for.
Yep.
Well.
I know,
Mike, that's the way to kick off a show. Somebody died. No, seriously, worse. It was enough that George couldn't take it. George has got to go get a tissue.
I see that Rick from Cross Comics is in the chat. I did send him the StreamYard link. So, Rick, if you want to come in and join us, you're more than welcome to, right, RJ?
Well, welcome to come in and just sit and talk. All we're doing is kind of shooting the bull, having a beer, drinking. I'm the only one having a beer, but I won't stop. Doesn't stop anybody else if they want to. You're all adults.
Well, I can't drink anyway. I'm allergic to alcohol.
Well, that's a weird one to have.
I just refrain from alcohol altogether because alcohol tends to have you drink alcohol, it tends to knock out your inhibitions, your ability to self.
Yeah. In vino veritas, the Romans would say. And
I don't like the idea of losing control.
Well, my case is because my mother was Native American, I get it from her. But your body has an enzyme in your stomach that breaks down alcohol because alcohol is a natural poison. This is where you get your high from the alcohol. I do not have that enzyme in my body. So if I take it, it's pure poison.
Yuck. Okay.
So,
yuck.
It will send me to the hospital. So, yeah, if I get pulled over, have you been drinking? No. How come? Here's the reason why. Because I have a card in my pocket that says specifically, this is what I'm allergic to. I don't do this. So but
and Rick made it from the Nite Heil.
I received an amazing book this week. And all I got to tell you is I've talked with the artist who does the work on this book. He is in Japan. He's very well known. But he's the guy that did the stuff for...
Yeah, get in front of the camera there. There we go. Akira.
Yes.
Cool.
That's some of his work, but check this stuff out. This is some fantastic stuff. This is his work.
Nice.
Oh, that's so detailed.
Wow.
This is insane. He does, it's got cityscapes in it. This thing is huge. This is a huge book. Although I cannot read it because it's all in Japanese, it's a fantastic book. So if you want backgrounds, you want to study backgrounds, this book right here is a 100% must get. It is fantastic.
Now, was Akira, is that the entire graphic novel or was it released as floppies or volumes or something?
Akira was actually released as comics.
Okay.
And it's like manga. It's like a regular manga. You get different volumes. And they went through, and once they got to the end, then they made the anime off of it. And, he went on, not just Akira, but he did a Metropolis animation. He did all the backgrounds for that. He's doing backgrounds. He's just Right now, he's booked up for 6 months on work for backgrounds. I was trying to get him to do backgrounds for me because I saw it. I was like, "Hey, can you do backgrounds for me for draw castles and stuff?" And he was like, "I'm booked up for 6 months." I was like, "Oh, okay."
You can't wait that long.
Yeah. So,
Rick, how's it going? Rick?
Yeah.
Rick. There you are.
Yeah, I just put my headphones off for a second, which have my mic on, so I might have. Didn't hear you.
Right, where the scratchy sound was coming from, right?
That's where the scratchy sound was coming from, yes. So we were talking for the show. I thought I had something special, and then James just totally one-upped and doubled on me.
Actually,
I was like,
Actually, speaking of historical stuff, RJ, you know this because you were watching my broadcast from the other day.
yes.
Another piece of classic information. I don't know. I know RJ knows this because he was there when I initially reported this. But you guys remember the Godzilla series from back in the late 70s, early 80s, the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla?
You're talking about the cartoon series that lasted 3 seasons?
Remember about it?
Yeah, well, they're going to release season 2 on, I guess, Blu-ray or something like that. I reported that earlier this week from CDR. I was covering that story.
They had never released season 2 yet. They've released season 1, but for everybody who just has to have some Godzuki in their life,
Godzilla.
The thing is,
Godzuki.
if you want to know something interesting about Godzilla, the cartoon, the height of Godzilla in the cartoon is the same height as the Godzilla in the new multiverse, his new universe, the MonsterVerse.
Okay.
He's actually a lot taller than the Godzillas of the 70s.
Godzilla's height kind of varied based on the models that he was destroying.
Well, what it did was they started off at 40 stories in 54.
Yeah.
And they went up to 64 stories for most all the way until they got to 85. Then 85, they moved him up because the buildings got bigger.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when they went into the 90s, they made him even bigger because of the buildings and everything. They had to. So as it moved up until they got into 2000, and then they shrunk him back down. In 2000, when Toho released their movies, they shrunk him back down. And then when it went to Final Wars, they brought him back up, and then of course the new stuff.
I think it's cooler that he's smaller. He shouldn't be taller than the tallest buildings in the town because, first of all, we're talking about Godzilla, and I'm saying it gets unbelievable. But second of all, if he's shorter than the buildings, he can be hiding behind them. You can turn a corner and Godzilla.
If you watch the MonsterVerse ones, even though he's 100, he's way up there at height, he's under some of the skyscrapers.
Yeah.
They drop a skyscraper on top of him. In several movies, he gets the skyscraper dropped on top of him. Even
so Godzilla's height depends on the size of the buildings.
Well, what it depends on was, and this is what it is the guys who are putting the movie together. They determined on what size he was going to be.
Yeah. Hello, Studio 38 and Woody.
We're apparently talking Godzilla, Studio 38. That's what's up. Hey, Woody, how's it going to you, sir? So, my history thing, I guess George isn't coming back. That's okay. George knows how to get back in. On June 5th, 1962, this being June 5th, 2022, so 60 years ago, if you went to your local drugstore, there on the spinner rack was Amazing Fantasy 15 for 12 cents, the first appearance of Spider-Man.
And Thor was there too.
And Thor was there in Dream of Mystery.
Only 60 years? Wow.
Yeah. So, when we were reading him as a kid, he was still kind of a new character.
Yeah.
And I want to write the story. I want to write the Spider-Man story about the guy he's carrying on the cover. Because you've seen the cover. He's swinging over the city.
Yeah.
He's got the guy on his arm.
Well, I haven't actually seen the cover yet, but...
I've got to find the cover now.
Amazing Fantasies 15? No, I'm not going to go pull it out, but I do have
What do you mean pull it out?
I have it over here. In the long
Reprint,
box.
right?
Amazing Fantasy 15. I have a copy over in the long box.
Not the reprint though, right?
No, I'm talking
Come on.
about the original.
I hate you every time you come on this show. every single time.
I'll tell you what shocked me is I'm looking over on eBay at some of these comic books, and I'm like, that book's going for how much? I only paid $1.95 for that book. You know, but that's amazing.
There it is. That's
Now,
amazing.
mine is not in mint condition. I will say that mine is actually probably would be in the 6.0 because there's an ad on the back that somebody cut out.
Yeah. Now, of course, this is a reprint cover. I didn't notice it until I just showed it up here because it wasn't $3.99; it was 12 cents,
Yeah.
and it didn't have this Block Marvel logo on anymore. But this guy here, who is this guy? Because somewhere in a bar in New York, there's a guy in a rumpled green suit who's sitting here saying, I don't know what I did. He just picked me up and swung me out the building. Whoever this Peter Parker is, because he's telling the bad guy his name on the cover. It's like, oh, the world may mock Peter Parker, the timid teenager, and the guy's like, who? So yeah, I'd love to see a story about him finding Peter Parker. Says, hey, you remember me?
Yeah, that would definitely be an interesting thing. Unless he's supposed to be the burglar.
I'll tell you one thing I would have loved to have seen in No Way Home, or the new Spider-Man movie. I mean, they had the other Spider-Man come in. If they had got the guy from the 70s to show up.
Nicholas Hammond? Yeah, why? What was the deal there?
Because Hammond said he would. They actually asked Hammond. He said he would have done it. He'd love to have been in the movie.
Well,
yeah,
has everybody seen that movie yet?
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Yep. I don't really go watch a whole lot of movies myself.
No, I will say,
I don't want to say a spoiler then.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of good stuff in that movie. I mean, it's a good. Yeah. Again, we have to remember this is Sony, not Disney, that did this movie.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I just realized with that movie, I just bought it, so I gotta maybe check. But technically, there's no Uncle Ben in that universe.
No, he's already dead.
Yeah.
No,
he's already dead.
No, but she never even married him. Because
you know something, you're right. She never brings it. They never bring him up.
Yeah, when they talk about the fact that her dying for Peter in it, or her dying in it is like the other guy's Uncle Ben.
Right. But
so there's no Uncle Ben in that. Well, there might be a Ben Parker in that universe, but he's not related to the Richard Parker who
was his dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is,
so
when he
my only question is, since Aunt May married into the family, who is this Aunt May to that Peter Parker really? What is her relation to Richard and Mary Parker?
Well, it could be that she's Mary Parker's sister, or she's Ben's. They could always rewrite it.
Yeah, but then she would have a different last name than Mary Parker.
Yeah, I think if they were still to, I think if she was May Parker, if I understand correctly, it's through Richard Parker. So if anything, May would have had to have been Richard's
father's sister. Yeah, because
again, it's the movies. They do things differently than the comics.
Well, we totally skipped the origin of this Spider-Man because he shows up in Civil War.
Yeah, he shows up already as Spider-Man in Civil War. He's already Spider-Man. There's no backstory.
Yeah, I don't think he had. I don't think he had a wrestling moment or whatever, where he went to get the money and all that.
Right. The crook and everything like that. Yeah.
There was no burglar for him either, I don't think so.
Right.
It's amazing how much Marvel's. I know they're doing it with Sony, but they're sort of writing it, it's amazing how much they F up Peter Parker.
Well, we're dealing with we're dealing with modern day Marvel. Let's face it.
Yeah.
You're dealing with modern day Marvel and modern day DC, which God.
As I was stating last week, the modern day versions of Marvel and DC are dumping on the legacy of these characters. They're just pulling down their pants, bending over, and just dumping on the legacy.
Well, I do have new news coming out of Warner Brothers. If you would like to hear that,
let's hear Warner Brothers news.
All projects concerning Superman are on hold. For Slazoff has stated he wants Henry Cavill back.
Nice.
So that means the thing that what's his name Coates was going to do with the Black Superman is canned.
Oh, I didn't.
Yay! I take it right.
Slazoff has gone ballistic. All DC projects are on hold. He's going in there now. Now, if he can just hurry up and get to DC Comics before they bankrupt with their stupidity, hopefully he'll be able to save DC Comics all the way around.
Well. Speaking of DC, and speaking, of course, we were talking a little bit about history earlier. RJ, would you like to share with everybody your experiences as my guest co-host the other night? What we did and all that?
We read old comics, man. We read some what was that? We read some. I couldn't remember the magician's name. We read some. I almost said Blackstone. Yeah, I almost said Blackstone. It's like because I was listening to that on the radio. Yeah, we went through some old Zatara comics and dug up the ancient treasure of Genghis Khan.
1 second. Studio 38. Henry Cavill's already said he wanted to play Superman again. So Henry Cavill wants to play Superman. So
he's got to shave the mustache off. He can't keep the mustache.
Well, RJ,
did he put a mustache on for The Witcher?
I don't know. He grew a mustache for Mission Impossible.
But he doesn't have one in The Witcher. He's clean shaven in The Witcher.
Oh, I know. But it's just, that was the whole thing was that they had to CGI out his mustache for his Justice League appearances.
Well,
it's just one of those things.
Well, RJ, I'm sure you had more to say than that because I know you said you had a lot of fun doing that and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, of course I did. I mean, who reading old Golden Age comics? Who wouldn't enjoy an hour or so of doing that? It was. We had a little difficulty with the lettering because it's old comics and the letters are all.
Well, in the Action copy of Action Comics Volume 1, Number 10, that one. But then when we went over to read Crimson Avenger and Speed Saunders, that was much better, wasn't it?
Much better. I was sitting there picking apart the murder case in the Speed Saunders, and why would he do this? Why would he? And you can't do that. And it was.
Well, you got to remember when you do stuff back then, it's not the same as it is today. So there's difference in laws. There's differences in
Oh, I know, but it was like they drugged the guy so that he was dead, and then they bashed his head in with a hammer after he was dead, so that they could put him on a sled and push the sled down a hill, so that it would hit a tree, so that people would think that he died of a concussion from sledding into a tree. And I was like, well, first of all, you just can't aim a sled and hope to hit that tree. It just doesn't work. And they killed him with digitalis. So they found out that he was killed with digitalis by pumping his stomach. Like, it's an injectable.
That doesn't work that way.
They even said that he was injected with digitalis, and they're like, found it in the stomach. I'm like,
well, no, it's.
So it'd be in the blood. Then you gotta do.
Okay. Now this is written back in the. When you do an autopsy, you don't pump the stomach. You open the stomach. There's a difference.
Well, and here's the thing: the Speed Saunders took it to a doctor. Said, "I want his stomach pumped."
Now, mind you, just a quick little reminder to everybody: this comic that we're referring to, of course, went on sale in February of 1939. Cover date March of 39.
I know.
And written probably towards the end of 38. So just
a group of
basically when my dad was born. Basically when my dad was born. That time frame. But still, you're doing an autopsy back then. You still would open the chest, open body. You would cut the organ open to look and see what you got. I mean,
and the reason why so many spy novels use digitalis as a injectable thing is because it causes a heart attack that looks natural. It's very hard to find unless you're specifically looking for it.
Yeah.
So,
well, they didn't do research back then.
No, of course not. You're right.
None of these guys were rocket scientists or physicists or anything like that.
That didn't stop them from writing rocket stories.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
I mean,
it's not like us where we have, like to the internet at the tip of our fingers and we can, easily find out all this stuff,
Yeah, well,
but in a way though, it probably did make for some interesting storytelling. Because I think even back then, the only people who would have really had it, like the issues that RJ brought up, are maybe the people who actually were more in the know. But then again, these comics were a lot written for kids and maybe some young adults, because we've talked about there have been some storylines back in the 30s. There are some things we've seen where you almost have to scratch your head, and when you see something happening, you wonder, this is written for kids?
Yeah.
Well, kids were different back then.
I will tell you this. If you pull up Playground for 1910, you actually see what they had at school back then. You would have a heart attack. I mean, even when I was in elementary school in the 70s, our playground had stuff that today parents would be like, no, that can't be there. That cannot be there.
Did you have the dome?
Yeah.
Yeah. We had kids who would take a run at the dome and just run over the top and over the other side just to see if you could keep your balance.
Without falling through it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the dome, we had all that stuff. And today none of that stuff's around. None of it.
Had the merry-go-round that was like open in the middle so you could like fall into it and had steel. We had one kid just fell in there while he was pushing it, and he knew to stay down, because if you'd have tried to raise up, you'd get banged right in the back of the head by one of those steel bars.
We'd have one person on the outside, and everybody would sit in it, and he'd just grab it and go, and just keep flinging it, and it was just faster and faster and faster, and you would get so sick, and it would be like, who's the last one to stay on, because you'll fall off of it, you're coming on the outside.
Well,
yeah.
Or the one guy that's pushing it, he does it around a few times and then jumps on himself.
Yeah,
ours wasn't that stupid. The guy that we had, he wasn't that stupid. Because he'd really get it going. And it was like, who's going to fall off first?
Yeah, actually, there was one other little trivia tidbit that I was able to bring to RJ's attention as well. Now, if anybody's aware of the All-Star Squadron series, right? There was a character in there named Flying Fox. Well, back in these days and more fun comics, they had another character, a separate character altogether, who was just simply a pilot named Flying Fox as well, by Terry Gilkinson, and I brought that to RJ's attention as well. Now the Flying Fox over. Yeah, the Flying Fox we're talking about from the All-Star Squadron, of course, is the Native American who was given that cape that allowed him to fly. But there was another character named Flying Fox who was a pilot.
You got your camera too low.
Yeah, I know.
Now you got it too high.
Yeah. I can bring it down easier then.
There you are.
Yeah, so but I mean, there are some interesting things from back then that you find if when you go take those deep dives. Right, RJ?
There's a lot of characters that could probably still be brought back to life if you just got the right permissions. I mean, if they fall into public domain, of course, take them. Everybody's doing the Black Terror right now, but
that one Flying Fox sounds like it might have fallen into public domain if it was by some defunct company now.
I'll be honest with you. A character that I've always been thinking about doing, I think it's in the public domain, is John Carter. Because he came out in like 19-something.
I don't know if he's in public domain yet.
I don't know if
he's still Burroughs Estate, and they hold the rights to all their stuff pretty close.
Yeah. Well, if they've got it trademarked, that's the problem.
Yeah,
because trademarks last longer than copyrights.
See, I think the biggest problem with the Disney movie that came out is the fact that they called it John Carter, because it doesn't communicate anything. If they'd have called that John Carter, Warlord of Mars,
that would have got everybody in the kitchen sink in the door.
Yes, because they're like, wait, Mars? That's a different story.
I knew what it was, so I went and saw it. I actually have a copy of the movie. I actually liked the movie. The only thing I didn't like about it is they crammed so much into it. They should have slowed down with what they were doing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they probably got the feeling that they weren't going to get a franchise out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Yanafui, I have not seen the trailer yet. I've seen the promo picture for it. Wow. Yeah, that Winnie the Pooh trailer is pretty much like what they did with the Banana Splits movie of a couple years ago. They've got Winnie the Pooh, and he's a killer.
Yeah, they're doing Winnie the Pooh like the Banana Splits, and like they did Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
They're going to go dark with it? Is that what you guys are going at?
Yeah.
That movie, Willy Wonka, that one I was like, oh boy. I had a friend of mine watch it. He was like, this is dark. It's not that good.
Let me address something real quick here. Mr. Yanafui, I did see that you did ask to come on the stream Friday. I just saw it a little late. By the time I'd seen it, RJ told me you probably had left already. I know you wanted to come in and stuff like that. And had I known, I would have had RJ send you the link. So I'm sorry about that. I was just not aware that you had wanted in until after you'd left. So,
but yeah, that Winnie the Pooh, because he's public domain, it's like Jeff Goldblum said, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Yes, exactly.
And it looks like it's made with all of the budget of, what you collected at a jar at the gas station. What was I going to say now? I forgot. I was going somewhere else.
Well, while you're thinking about that, speaking of John Carter of Mars,
yes,
I was looking ahead a little bit to some of the comic coverage that I'm going to be doing. I believe in one of the upcoming times I'll be like this Friday I'll be covering Dell comic. I don't know if it was February of 39 or March of 39, but in one of those 2 months, John Carter, they'll be bringing John Carter into, I believe it's the funnies, I guess as part of the package of features that are replacing the number of features that had went over from Dell's funnies to like DC. So because in March had a number of features from Dell in funnies like Squibbly, Ben Webster's Page, and a few others that actually went from the Dell comics to DC, as a way to start up All American Comics. So just a little tidbit of some of the stuff we'll be covering on Friday there.
All right. Something different, but very cool. I finally got a copy of it.
We give you the big one.
Frankenstein.
Oh, but even better. Illustrated.
Oh, the Bernie Wrightson one.
Right, burnt by Bernie Wrightson. With introduction by Stephen King.
Well, you can't have everything.
I have been looking for that for a long time.
How big is your library, James?
It's extremely big. I mean, just here in the office, I've probably got, 200 here in the office. Wow. And then I've got a whole nother room that's bigger than this office that has all my comic books and more bookshelves. My oldest book that I've got is I have a Bible. It is family oriented. It is I have to look at the date, but I want to say it's from 1548. It's really old. It's got the little lock on it that you had to have the key to open. It's not in good shape. I mean, it's in bad shape, but it's one of the oldest books I've got.
Do you have the key?
Yeah, I have the key.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. And I mean, it's really old. But
well, that's probably how he knows it's from the 1500s because he's got the key to look at the page where it says printed.
Well, the problem is when you open it, you got to be real careful with the pages because they're so old. I mean, luckily, I've got it where it's in a sealed thing, but it's just so old. I mean, you can't even take it for restoration because the pages are so brittle.
You have to build one of those things like that guy built in You, that big glass in his basement where he killed people later. But
no, I mean, yeah, book wise, I mean, I like books. You know, it's one of those things, and the more books you read, the smarter you get. You know, it's like Dracula. I've got 2 copies of Dracula. I've got Dar Stoker's addition to Dracula. You know, we talk with Clint all the time, but Darce is the guy. He's the one that oversees the Bram Stoker estate. So he's the one that really has the power of the estate. And he's actually in South Carolina.
So you're saying that the Dracula character is still being controlled by somebody from the Stoker line?
Well, no, it's you can use it. It's open source now. You know, it's open. But hold on, I get the books. I got them.
Because we just had Clint on earlier this week to talk about Clint Stoker's Dracula, and he made the point that he was a descendant of Bram Stoker. It was just weird that it wasn't through his father's side, which is the Stoker name, but through his mother's side, it goes up to Bram Stoker, which nevertheless, he's still a descendant. So calling it Clint Stoker's Dracula is
he has the right to do so. But these are the actual books that Darce wrote. So this is, as you can see here, Dar Stoker. This is the guy. So here, Dar Stoker.
So Dracula the Undead.
But out of the 2 books, this one is fantastic. I recommend this one.
Dracula.
This one will blow your mind. This one makes Dracula even more scary than the original. This one really makes him scary.
I was never really scared of him in the original.
He says there's one line he has in this book that if a vampire says this to you, should scare you to death. And his exact words are, "We'll meet again. I'm a patient man, and I have all the time in the world."
Yeah, they're mortal.
I mean,
I dropped in there for a few minutes on that show too, and I made reference to Forever Night, the TV classic.
But you have a lot of people right now working on vampires. You have Shane doing Nosferatu. You have Clint doing his. You have Norwell doing Nosferatu. So and then I have my own. And so you have like 4 of us in Comicsgate that are doing vampires.
And you got Mandy Summers doing, Jack the Ripper vampire killer.
That's 5. You know, you have 5 right there. And then for a while there, you got more werewolves with Aaron LePresley. So you have all this horror stuff coming out. But back in the day, you didn't have that much stuff coming from DC or Marvel of horror. They didn't do much.
Well, no, not since the 70s. I mean, the 80s, they kind of, I don't know, maybe in the early 80s, they still were doing it. But at some point, all their horror titles quit.
Well, weren't there some on the Vertigo imprint, though?
That's kind of what happened. Anything that they wanted to do horror became a Vertigo book. And then Vertigo just became like a weird book. If it was just weird, it went to Vertigo.
Yeah.
RJ, did you catch Mr. Yanafu's latest comment?
Clint has to drink blood to maintain his hair. He seems to be reluctant to do so. Yes, Clint brought that up himself in the show. I told him, if you shave your head, that's going to be the end of it. It'll never come back. Look at mine. I shaved it, and that was it.
And see, that was the thing with me when I was writing the Steins. I did not want my vampire to be Dracula. I wrote down everything I knew about Dracula, and even what Christopher Lee had said about Dracula. And I was like, I don't want Von Kampfen to be a mirror of Dracula. I didn't want him to have anything how he became vampire, anything tied with Dracula.
Well, how do you make him a vampire if there's no resemblance to the Dracula vampire?
Oh, real easy. I'll explain. I'll explain the difference between Dracula and Von Kampfen. Dracula was the ruler in Transylvania. Okay, basically, and the way he became vampire, he did it because of selfish means and selfish wanting to be. It's all selfishness. He's completely lost his mind in what he's doing to become Dracula. So, and all that stuff. What I did with my character, Von Kampfen, he's not the ruler. He's the younger brother of the ruler. They go into combat. They win, but it cost his brother and himself their lives. He made an oath to his brother that he would always protect the family and the kingdom. And while he's sitting there dying, he makes a deal with Anubis, the god of the death.
Okay.
And because his heart is weighed by Anubis, Anubis makes a deal with him. But there's always a trade-off for power and everything. Everything has to balance out. And for him to get the power, he's got to be cursed, and the cursed is the vampire. Yeah. And that's how he becomes the vampire in the Steins. He doesn't do it for selfish reasons. He does it to save people's lives.
Jane, let me interrupt real quick here, if you don't mind. Because Mystery on a Food was asking Nosferatu, and then he had a question mark. Nosferatu, Mystery on a Food, I believe, was an ancient term for vampire. Now, James,
it's German.
Huh?
It's a German term.
The German term, okay.
Germanic.
Yeah, and it just means vampires. Or vampire.
Right. It's just another term for vampires.
And of course, if you're going to go with German words for vampires, then you have to take that fun little rabbit hole trip into Nosferatu, the movie, in which the vampire was played by Max Schreck. And of course, Max Schreck is German for James. I'll throw it to you.
I'm not good on this one, so you have to do it.
It basically Max Gore, Max
Gore.
It was. There was a movie called Shadow of the Vampire. There's a movie called Shadow of the Vampire that basically posits. It's a movie about the making of Nosferatu, and they're following the making of the movie, and they're positing the idea that Max Schreck did such a good job because he was a vampire.
The funny thing is, I first heard the term Nosferatu on an episode of Spider-Man the Animated Series in the 90s when they brought in Blade, Blade and Whistler, for their first. That's where I actually first heard the term Nosferatu.
I heard the term in 1981 at the family reunion that Christopher Lee was at, and he was talking about Dracula. We were asking about Dracula and like that, and he brought the movie up. That happened in 1922, and what it was, who was in it, about the lawsuit, about it had to be destroyed, and all this stuff. So, I learned about it.
We saw the movie. How did it get destroyed?
No. I'll explain the story behind Nosferatu. In 1922, Nosferatu was made. It was released. Bram Stoker's widow sued the production company for copyright infringement and stealing it.
Oh, okay.
Saying it was stolen from Dracula. The courts ruled in her favor. It's the first time copyright was upheld. That's what makes this thing such a big legal case. This is the first time ever that the copyright laws were used in court. Because of the production being completely broken out of money, the court ordered all footage, all films to be destroyed. The only thing was one copy survived. And that's where you get everybody's got a copy of now, is because that one copy survived. One copy didn't get destroyed. But 99% of all the copies of Nosferatu were completely destroyed.
I'll be right back.
Because of that lawsuit.
That's interesting. That's so we got lucky that somebody hid one.
Yeah, the thing is now.
Yeah, probably.
Well,
yeah.
The thing about it is a lot of the movies that are made back in the silent era are destroyed because of the type of film they used, and a lot of them were just thrown away after they were master made. The one that they just found, they found one copy finally, is London by by Gaslight, I think it's called, with Lon Chaney. That one everybody's been looking for because that's supposed to be like one of the greatest silent film ever made, but they only got bits and pieces of it. But supposedly they found one copy in Europe that's fully restored and that's fully intact. So they're trying to get it where they can, stuff like that. I know Turner Classic Movies has already offered to buy it and all this stuff because they want to preserve it and get it out so everybody can see it.
Yeah,
because
get it
that was
digitized real
lost.
quick.
The Phantom of the Opera is lost. There's a lot of films from back then that are lost. And it's just really sad that all these great movies were completely lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Celluloid decomposes.
But like I said, when I did my vampire, I wanted to come up with something fresh and new, and that's what I did. And the other thing is how he can make another vampire. It's not just straight up biting somebody. It's and actually he doesn't even actually have to bite you. The only thing they have to do is drain you completely. I mean, he does, but he has to basically drain you almost to the brink of death and then feed you his blood. And that's how he makes another vampire. If he bites you and drains you, he's going to just leave you on the ground dead.
Yeah.
It's his choice.
That's always interesting to me was that, the vampire could kill you or he could turn you into a vampire, and he does them both the same way.
Eventually, I'm going to bring vampires into my universe, but I've got it slightly different. They're going to be like sort of a cult that worships a demon that's named Draclos.
That's.
I think
people will get the point.
Remember, Dracula is what? Son of the dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Dracula is son of the dragon. That's what it means. That's what his shield was, the dragon. And it's one of those things. But the way I did mine, and I mean, RJ, I'm pretty sure you've read the book by now. Mine has some really deep how the universe was made, how things work, and who's in charge of creating, vampires and who creates werewolves, stuff like that. Same thing with werewolves. I went with Greek mythology on making my werewolves because one of Hades' sons is basically the first werewolf.
Yeah, and then of course you got the whole Remus and Romulus legend where they were, suckled by a wolf before they.
She-wolf.
Yeah, she-wolf. Yeah, well, kind of hard to do it from a male wolf, but
yeah. But that's the way I went with it. So.
Miss Gianna Fu, that's an entirely different movie. I have that on beta. It's in my collection. But now that you've said that, if I take out that hyphen, I've got a brand new Dark Legion of Superheroes character I'd love to throw out there now. Dracula's.
Now talking up now, if we're going to go to DC and talk about that god awful looking new Justice League.
Oh, the Social Justice League.
Oh, that was just so bad. I mean, I'm sorry, but when you're going to make the women flat chested, that's kind of redundant, and you took everybody out. Yeah, that's going to really sell. Like I said on Twitter, the way DC Comics is, if Slazov doesn't get to them within the next 2 years, in 3 years, they're going to be bankrupt and out of business. I really do. Because I already know about last year taking a $4.5 million loan out from the government to keep the doors open.
Well, and last week the Road to Dark Crisis came out. It was a Justice League one shot, and they're already talking about Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. They're dead. We're going to have a memorial. So they got Jonathan Kent and Nightwing on their way there. Now, the first thing that sticks out in my mind is that they're smiling. You're going to speak at the funeral, right? You bet I am. I'm going to be there.
No, I didn't even pay. I was like, I'm not doing,
They're just not acting like they're going to a funeral. But then later on, they're all talking like, Superman's died before. Batman too. Batman's died twice. He's come back each time. As like they don't even take it seriously in universe anymore.
Yeah. Like I said, this is a cash grab. They're trying to do anything they can to get a shock and awe. Because let's face it, the only thing that's selling right now in DC is Batman. That's it.
Yeah,
Superman is not even in the top 50 anymore.
And not even all of Batman is selling anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think that one that we were looking at last week, Batman Forks, I don't think that one's going to sell all that much Because I think that whole storyline is going to turn a lot of people off.
Batman
That was
the
Batman
what?
the Vault. The Vault.
Batman Fortress.
Oh, right. The Fortress. I said the Vault, but it's the Fortress.
Yeah. Basically, Greg Witta wrote another story that just took a dump on Batman's legacy, where Batman just sat, he sat there, and RJ did an article on this as well.
Damn, somebody beat me to it.
Yep, I was going to say something, RJ, but yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Yanakui. Darn it. But yeah, I mean, well, this wasn't. First of all, the Fortress is an Elseworld. It's not in main continuity. Nevertheless, it's not Batman. He's not acting like Batman, and it's not selling, according to Michael Tierney, who was on the LCS Guys show last night.
Nothing's selling for DC. I mean, here's the deal, and this is what I've been saying. You've got to get somebody in there that can take charge, that is focused on two things: good storytelling and making money. Those are the two things you got to look at. If it ain't making money, it's not producing. If you don't have a comic book that's producing more than 30,000 copies a month, you got to can it, go back into it, revamp it, redo it. If that means getting a new writer, do it. If that means getting a new artist, do it. You got to save the company. And right now, it's like, oh, we're just going to sit here and do what we want. And if we make money, oh, well, because why? Warner Brothers will pick up the tab. I don't see that happening anymore. I think Slazloff is just going through, blowing a gasket every 5 minutes. And because, heads of Warner Brothers are gone, heads of TBS are gone, he's bringing his own people in. So you can tell.
Exactly, Mr. Yanafui. He's supposed to be dead, and yet he's got a bunch of books out that he's still starring in. If he's supposed to be dead, it's not impacting him.
Or at least the Bruce Wayne of a number of different multiverses that's still doing Lucius Fox.
Like I said, they've got to do something. I mean, Marvel's not as bad as DC, but Marvel's on the same path.
Yeah.
They got it.
Both companies, I think, if they want to survive, they need to have somebody come in and just totally clean house and say, this woke bullshit, excuse my French there, isn't selling. Scrap it. Just revamp the universe back to the way it was before.
Yeah.
You could do it easily. You could do it easily with DC. I mean, you really could. And the way you would do it, has to involve
Crisis. They do have them all the time.
No. Just involve Superman. And remember when what was it that sent him into the alternate world where you had a family and children? And it was all in his mind.
Yes.
Do that again.
That
make it a dream.
Too. Do it all again, and have it where Batman saves him, and everything that we've been doing for the last 15 years has been nothing but a dream in his head.
But a bad dream in his head, all that, yeah.
Oh my God! So,
and actually, that is
that's the easiest way to fix it.
Historically used quite a bit because it's like a number, in the original multiverse.
No, there's no multiverse.
A number of the different Earths have been
gone. There's no multiverse. There's nothing. It's all one universe. That's it. Multiverse is gone. Everything's gone.
Well,
more about the
New
plot
52, there was still a multiverse, but if we could go back, pre New 52, I think we'd be all right. Continue
what I'm saying is it's all part of what was in Superman's head. So when you get him out, you don't know how far back you went. You got a clean slate.
Oh man, you want to Bobby Ewing him.
You have a clean
entire DC universe.
slate.
They did the clean slate, and then he came up with New 52, and
no, that's the problem.
They've done the clean. They tried to do the clean slate. I mean, that's what the crisis events were.
And at that point, what you could do is at that point you can say we're going to have 10 or 11 books. These are the books we're going to push. This is how we're going to push it.
I'll be right back.
We're going to slowly branch out and do it. That'd be one thing I would do. That'd be the one thing I would do with DC. But also at DC, I would do two other things. And I'm going to explain my thing. Number two, I would get Jim Lee in the office. I would sit him down, and I would tell him Wildstorm is being resurrected. And I would resurrect Wildstorm. I'd resurrect Wildcats, Stormwatch, Team 7, Wetworks, Grifter, and go. get your teams together. You got 6 months to put it together, promote it, and we're going to launch it and just let it go nuts. That's what I would do. That'd be number 2. Number 3, this is the big one. I'd make a public announcement. I would say, okay, you don't like what we're doing at DC Comics. I'm going to give you all a chance to prove us wrong. This is how this works. You can go on our website. There are certain characters that will be available that you can buy for production. You have to write the story. You have to get your teams together, and you can use these characters under a license agreement with us. Okay, so that means you want to buy. So I'm just using this as an example. You want to use Batman. Batman is going to cost you $10,000. You want to use Robin because he's a sidekick. That's $3,000. Alfred, $200. Commissioner Gordon, $300. You would actually pay for the characters you want to use, and then you could sign up for a 3-issue or a 6-issue miniseries. And once it comes in, we would look at it. If we agree with it, we're not gonna bash like that. There are going to be certain stipulations that you cannot do. Number 1, you can't make Batman gay. Okay, that's out. But you can do certain things. You cannot kill the Joker. You can't, like stuff like that. But if you want to bring your own villains in, you can bring your own villains in and keep the copyright of your villains. But it's all on you. We'll publish it. We'll solicit it. If it gets up so many print runs, the amount of money that we get from it will shrink and you'll get more money. If it stays low, we get so much off the title price and we're not on the hook. You know how many people would jump at that?
It'd be a daring
all
plan.
the money that would come in, that you're not having to do a writer, you're not having to do artist, you're not having to do printing. All you have to do is promote it and get it to the printers and it goes out. That's it. You don't have to pay for anything.
You're just a licensor at that point.
Correct. And every story could be the alternate universes.
And every story would have to have the DC imprint on it.
Correct.
You would pretty much tie up people so they couldn't do crossovers. Because if you have 2 different people doing a license on 2 different characters, well, those are never going to see the light of day together.
Unless it's approved by the upper management of DC Comics.
Well, if you're quote unquote renting the characters, you can do the crossovers.
Yeah, used by the characters. Like say, I want to do a crossover with Batman, Superman, Power Girl, and Mr. Miracle and Barda. Okay, you bought all the characters.
But here's the thing with that is that part of why there's a fandom for the DC universe, part of why there's a fandom for the Marvel universe is that it's a universe. It's coherent and cohesive. When you start licensing them out like that, everything's in Elseworlds. There is no continuity anymore.
Your continuity would be your regular print runs.
But they're going to be licensed out to people.
Right, where you got your regular print runs, your regular stories and stuff that you're doing, and then you have this other stuff. Why this other stuff? To say, look, we love our fans. We know fans can write good stories. Okay. Now we're giving you a chance to prove it.
So you're licensing out Elseworlds opportunities.
Correct.
Okay. So we still need to clean up the in-house continuity.
That's what I was saying. You're going to clean up the in-house on the reset, like I was talking about with Superman. The minute he wakes up, you got a blank slate. You can put your books together, and that's what we're going to run with, and we're going to start scratch. Yeah. That's DC. That's DC Section 1. DC Section 2, Wildstorm. DC Section 3, this Elseworlds.
I would just have Dr. Manhattan say, nope, this one's not right again, and start it over again, because Dr. Manhattan did start the DC universe, and I will die on that hill.
I'm just saying, as if I was in charge of DC Comics, that's what I would do to save the comic book company. I mean,
well, somebody's got to do something.
I mean, that's the only way I can see. Even if, I mean, I would pitch, I'll be honest with you, if Slazloff was around, I'd pitch this idea to him directly. Say, this is how not only do you save DC Comics, but you make it profitable. And you make it real profitable. Because you know there's going to be some people that are going to go like, oh, yeah, I got to get Superman and Batman together. I got this great Grizz. I'll pay $25,000 up front. I can crowdfund it. I can get stuff going. Yes, I know I have to pay a percentage to DC Comics, but they're not going to judge me. They're not going to be political against me. I can do this great story of like it was in the 70s and 80s, and it'll go out.
Well,
I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but World's Finest, which eventually became a Batman Superman team up book, actually started out as kind of a anthology series originally that did have actually Superman and Batman as the top two features, but it was an anthology
in the continuity.
Huh?
Those were in continuity too. They were part of the DC universe.
Yeah.
If
well,
they're
it started out as
them,
World's.
you can kill them.
The first one was World's Best, and then it became World's Finest.
Yes. World's Best #1, and then after World's Best #1 from 2 on, it was World's Finest. So.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, I would love to just sit down, give me 15 minutes with Saslav, and I could probably pitch him this idea, and he'd probably go, profit, money.
Yeah. Profit? You got profit?
Okay, okay, you got it. And if you can pull this off, you got in charge. And believe me, I would not take prisoners when I went in. I would do exactly what I said. One, Jim Lee, get his Wildstorm going back, get those books out, because I can tell you right now, Team 7, Wetworks, military book, those would sell. Oh man, those would sell. And
James, let me
as long as you didn't have the woke storylines in them.
Well, I'm talking about the early 90s when Team 7 and Wetworks came out. There was nothing woke about them. What was Team,
they might not have been back then, but they might make them nowadays. Because Jim Lee, isn't he in charge over at...
Jim Lee's basically just sitting back letting the house play with itself.
Yeah,
he's not,
that's what you... That's what your problem is. You can't have Jim Lee in charge of those things if he's just going to do that over at Wildstorm.
Well,
let everybody do whatever they want.
Get him over Wildstorm, but also I'd bring back Willis Portacio. I'd get Willis Portacio in there. I'd probably get Jason Scott Kimball in there. I'd get Brett Booth in there. Let them all just go, because I know Brett would just grab Stormwatch and go nuts with it. You know what I'm saying?
So James, let me ask you this: if let's just say Zaslav or whatever this guy's name is brought you in and made you the head cheese of DC Comics,
okay,
how fast would Superman Kal-El be gone? How fast would that one be gone?
Kal-El. That book would be. This is what this. Okay, I'm going to tell you exactly what I would do on the first day. Going in. First day going in, I want sales figures. I want profitability of the book. I want to know what's going on with all the books. The actual numbers. Okay, which they have to have for tax reasons. If any book on that docket is less than 35,000 print run, it's done. That
35,000 print run, meaning what?
Actually, I wouldn't say less than 35,000 print run. I'd say less than 35,000 ordered.
No. Let me explain. 35,000 print run. Okay? Not ordered, 35,000 print run. The team that's responsible for that book would be called in the office. If you remember, when 2000 started, most DC comic books were selling over 100,000 copies a month.
Yep.
Okay? There is no reason why they cannot be doing that now if you have good stories, good artwork, and good teamwork. And they don't have any of that right now. I would have every team one-on-one with me. I would give them 3 months to either increase sales or they're out the door. They got 90 days to fix it. I'm not going to play favorites. I'm not going to be nice about it. 90 days to fix it. Or to have me a proposal that will fix it. I would do it with every team. When that 90 days pass, if they haven't fulfilled it, the book is canceled, and they're looking for a new job. I will not play favorites. I will not play anything. I will find the right artist. I will find the right writers, and I will pay them good quality money. The other thing I'm going to pay is the creators of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, whatever. I'm going to make sure that the creators are getting their royalties that they deserve.
You're talking about the original creators, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Siegel and Schuster family, the Kane and
Yes.
families, and the Martin.
All of them. I'm not going to play this. Oh, well, we can't do Batman because we're paying royalties. No, we're going to do Batman. We're going to make enough money to be profitable, to pay royalties, to pay our employees. I want to pay the employees the best quality money for artists and artwork. Okay. Now, you got to understand something here. I got to make money. If I'm paying somebody $200 a page, I got to make at least $45,000 in profit, in total sales of that book a month to offset what I'm paying. $45,000. That tells you how much I need to sell my books. The other thing I'm going to do is this $4.99 a book garbage is out the door. I want to bring the price back down. I mean, I print novels. I know what they cost, and I know how many pages those cost.
Yeah.
And I would drop it at least down to $2.99 a book.
Well, some of them nowadays are like $5 or $6.99.
Yeah, and that's how they can say that the sales are increasing because they're counting dollars. They're not counting units.
I'm counting units. I'm not counting sales.
Yeah.
The reason I'm saying $35,000 print for 35,000 print run is you always order more than what's ordered, so you have a backup just in case stuff gets damaged or whatnot. But if I'm not getting $35,000 copy print run, I'm not making $45,000 a month.
So let me just make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. So when you're saying 35,000 print run, is that basically 35,000 copies printed and then sent out, or is that just printed, or what exactly?
That usually what that means is if you have a $35,000 print run, you have 30,000 orders.
30,000 orders. Okay.
That's what.
That's 30,000 books basically being ordered, correct?
He's ordering 35, but only 30 are going out to stores.
But remember,
the extra 5,000 is for damage
or whatnot to be done. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Also, you got to be proactive with the stores. Give them a hotline they can call so they can talk to you about what's going on with books. Get feedback on what's selling and what's not selling. Just don't put out books. Look at the demographics. Look at all your charts. You've got to focus on everything possible when you're pushing your book. Okay. If I have a book in Fresno that is selling, 400, 500 copies, but I got the same book in Texas selling 2. I got to look at why is it selling so much here and why is it not selling here, and figure out what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And when you have a retailer summit,
and what you do is you give the retailers a phone number to call, not an email address, because email is not personal. Phone, and you have somebody there who can answer the phone, take notes, and tell you get back, and then within 24 hours get back to that store. This is what's going on. It's called
hopefully within 24 hours.
It's called customer service. It's called customer quality. It's called quality of books. This is everything that DC and Marvel do not have right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're more focused on trying to push agenda than make money.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So, and you can do things to promote books better than anything. One thing I would do is get back into the cons. Quit doing this Disney's DC Day on the internet. The reason DC Comics is doing this thing on the internet is real simple. They don't want to spend money to build their displays for comic book conventions, and they don't want people sitting there screaming at them at the conventions.
Mm-hmm.
That's why
they were using the COVID-19 pandemic as an excuse to do that.
They pulled out 19. They weren't even at the New York Comic Con before the pandemic.
Yeah, they've been not hiding at the big conventions for a long time.
Yeah, they've been hiding. No, you got to go in hard with the convention, saying DC Comics is going to be at San Diego, and we're going to have all of our artists there. We're going to have everybody there, and come see us.
Forget that they're going to be at San Diego, because they're going to be at San Diego.
I'm just saying that like that.
They're going to be at New York. They're going to be at San Diego. What they need to do is start saying DC Comics is going to be in Chicago, C2E2. DC Comics is going to be at St. Louis Wizard World.
No. Here's the ones that you do. You do the big ones. But then you look at some of the regional ones, like say the one here in Arlington. Okay, keep it quiet for like till 2 weeks before the show. DC Comics is coming to Arlington. What? Yeah, we're coming to the small convention, so you can actually have one-on-ones with us and talk with us. We're going to show up. We're going to show up here. We're going to show up, there. Send people out to these shows. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If there was a convention at El Paso and I had Brett Booth on my payroll, okay, DC Comics is going to be at El Paso. The executive, say I was in charge. Say I was the big boss of DC Comics. I would be at El Paso. I go wherever the convention is. Guess what? I'm not drawing the books. But since it's basically in Brett Booth's backyard, I would have Brett Booth there.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I would compensate Brett Booth for being there because I would want to do a promotion with DC Comics. That means he's not charging for autographs, but I'm going to pay him to show up. You know what I'm saying?
That'd be the thing to do. Yeah, that's what they used to do.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I would pay as the company, DC. You're going to make an appearance? Okay, I'm going to pay you to be there at our booth, at our DC Comics booth. I'm going to be there. So you get to. So not only are you going to be able to see the artist, you're going to see the boss of DC Comics. You're going to be able to interact with the artist and the boss.
Well, you might not be able to be everywhere because there are a lot of cons going on.
No, but you pick and choose the cons.
Yeah.
Pick some that are not the main ones. Pick something that, like I said, El Paso is not a main con.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Say Albuquerque is going to be. We're going to have one in Albuquerque, Santa Fe area con. Okay, do one like that. Pop up. Say, okay, DC's Comics coming there. We're going to bring in a couple of artists.
Yeah.
Why? Because I've got artists. Say I got artists that are in Arizona. I can fly them straight into Albuquerque in less than an hour.
Oh, I guess what I'm saying is you could do the multiple cons, but the boss, at the ones at the same time and have, artists there or writers or whatever.
But have the boss.
But the boss might not be able to be at, you might not be able to be at everyone, but you could have representatives there.
Right. What I'm saying. Right. Exactly. This way, not only do you get to talk to some people, you get to see the executives there, the boss, the editors there. You can say, I really like this Batman book, but I got to tell you, this Superman book is terrible.
Remember when the bosses, the editors were...
if I may just quickly interject something. Hello, Harrenberg, and welcome to the chat.
Yeah, we're getting ready to wrap things up here in just a little bit, but Harrenberg's been at Three Rivers Con all this weekend, so he's reporting that the indie people, they're still going to cons, they're still setting up booths, they're still interacting with fans, and that's why they're still going to be standing when this eventually comes to a stop.
When all that woke revolution.
Yeah, I was just at Niagara Falls. I was just at Niagara Falls Comic Con as an attendee on Friday.
How was that?
You get good.
Good. Great. Glad to hear it.
Lots of people there. It's probably the second biggest in the area, I think.
Sweet.
Remember when the editors at DC Comics, the big bosses, were also people who had drawn and written comics?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's the other thing too. Bring back for DC Comics, people there at the cons to, go through people's portfolios and stuff like that.
I mean, I remember
back for talent. That Ben Sullivan did do some work back there in the 30s, even before he, was elevated to editor on some of those early books of DC. I think he did some stories as well.
Yeah. But I'm saying to fix DC Comics, and I mean, don't ask me about Marvel because I really don't know what's going on over there. I have kind of ran away from Marvel as much as possible.
Well, if you're listening to people like Kelly Sue DeConnick,
I don't care. I don't listen to her at all. She's already. I've already heard her statement about comic book business is not going good. But I already know comic book business is not going good.
You told us not to buy the books. We listened to you.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going for. There was the idea was she's the one who told everyone, if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. Well, we
challenge accepted.
That's exactly what how and I mean that's what happened. People got turned off, and I think from my point of view is, for me, right now, Slazlov is the best bet to fix DC. I really think he can do it. I mean, I know what his game plan is. I know what he's looking at, and it's all one thing: profitability, make money, and that's why he has just been tearing into Warner Brothers, and he tore into the CW. I can tell you, I'm guessing right now he's going to tear CW completely apart and sell it. I think CW is going to be dead in less than a year. It'll be gone. CW as a whole will be gone in a year.
All its shows will be on HBO Max streaming.
Or canceled.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about the reruns of them, not.
Yeah, but I mean that's his thing. He's not a happy camper. He want the way he posted it, and I know exactly what he was saying was, I'm not getting the ad revenue to offset the cost of the studios and the production values of the show, and we don't have the viewership. So it's gone. And I can tell you right now, he's going to look at the comic books the same way. And like I said, you got to fix what's broke, because if you don't, it's going to break completely.
So you believe Zaslav is sitting there basically about ready, if he hasn't already started, tearing them all a new one, right?
He already did. Because you want to know why? The executives at Warner Brothers have been fired.
Yeah.
There's new bosses in Warner Brothers, at Cartoon Network, at TBS already. There's brand new people in charge, and he's fixing to go after CNN.
I hadn't heard anything about Jason DeMarco being let go.
Yeah, the big guys are gone. They're gone.
You even know who I'm talking about when I say Jason DeMarco?
Isn't he at Warner Brothers?
He went. Well, no, you said Cartoon Network. So
yeah,
Jason DeMarco is the one who's handling Toonami, or was handling.
No. I'm talking about the big guys for Cartoon Network. Okay. They got fired.
Okay.
Same guy.
Oh, the high ups.
Yeah, we're talking the high up. The big guys. They're getting canned.
Basically, the CEOs, the COOs, and all that.
Yeah, board of directors, they're all getting let go. TBS as a whole has been upper management has been replaced.
Yeah, wouldn't it be fun? Wouldn't it be funny if we happen to look up at the Warner Brothers building or something like that, and all of a sudden we saw explosions over it? Come to find out later that a lot of those board members had been stuffed into cannons and shot out of them.
Well, I mean, you have to understand when
that's a joke, obviously.
No,
I know.
Here's something else that is fixing to blow up all over the place. Slazlov right now is going after J.J. Abrams, and I'll explain why. Warner Brothers paid J.J. Abrams $250 million for film projects. What did he do? He went over to Disney to do film projects. He took some money and ran. He didn't do anything for him. He hasn't created anything for him. And now Slazlov is pretty much going to say, either hand me the money back or you better start producing something.
And it better be something that people watch.
And J.J. Abrams, in my point of view right now, J.J. Abrams is one of the worst makers of anything. He completely obliterated Star Wars. And J.J. Abrams is garbage in my point of view. He's trying to do all this stuff and not do anything for Warner Brothers. He took $250 million. That's theft as far as I'm concerned. And if I was Slazlov, I'd be demanding the $250 million back. You give me $250 million back, I'll give you a good movie. I'll fix DC Comics, and I'll give you a production company, comic book wise, that'll destroy anybody.
Maybe you should write a letter to Zaslav telling him all this. See how he responds.
Send him the link. Bring him in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, give me 10 minutes to do. Give me 15 minutes to do a presentation to Slazlov about DC Comics, and I guarantee you he'll hire me. Guaranteed. But I can guarantee you this: people at DC Comics would be scared to death of me when I got done with them. Because DC,
they're used to working for Jim Lee, so
Yeah, no one Lee.
You wouldn't even have to change the name on the door.
Oh yeah, I would. I put a D in the middle of it.
Okay.
That way they would know which Jim Lee's in the building.
Already frivolous use of money. Just changing the middle initial on the door cost them 50 cents now.
No, I guess.
Or maybe you should go in there with a nickname like AK. Like
no, I get a piece of tape.
Rear booter.
Get a piece of Scotch tape. Put it over the nameplate. Put JIME. JIM space D space LEE. There, it's done.
Well, you want to make a difference? You take the first name off, Jim. You just go General Lee.
No, I already have a relative that did that, so I'm not going to go there. And my official rank was staff sergeant, so yeah.
Staff sergeant, so you were an E6 then?
When I was in, it was E5.
Oh.
They changed it up after later on. So.
All right, well, guys, we've gone an hour and a half. I think we talked out our topics pretty much. I was going to, and I hesitate to say what I was going to do because it'll be another hour now. I was going to ask if anybody's seen if Mark Brooks has followed any more of Heather Antos's marching orders today, but
don't even get me started on that, because they went after the most beautiful, lovely, sweet girl of comics, Kate, Winnie, and that is
that's exactly what I'm talking about.
I'm like I said, give me DC Comics. Just give me DC Comics.
Well, I was gonna say she's IDW and he's doing Marvel covers, but
yeah, I know. Well, let's face it, Antos has destroyed every place she went to, and I'm guessing maybe another year and she'll be out of IDW too. She's toxic. She is garbage.
Well, IDW's already been having some problems because, as I understand it, because I think I did report on this earlier, at the end of this year, they're going to lose one or two I think they're losing the Transformers license.
Yeah,
and they might be losing the G.I. Joe license too. I know they're losing the Transformers license. That one I do know for sure. They're losing the Transformers license. I think they're losing one other license though, but I'm not sure what the other license is that they're losing.
Probably Conan.
Conan. Oh yeah, Conan. That's it. Conan.
They're losing the license to Conan.
But like I said, if Stazos ever sees this feed, give me 15 minutes. I'll tell you how to save DC Comics. I guarantee you'll put me in charge.
We have rare behind the scenes footage of Heather talking in the back room with Mark. So no. Oh wait, that's actually a panel from Earth 2, the hardcover. So all right.
Mr. Yanakui has an interesting statement.
Yeah, he says kick Jim Lee from DC so he can go back to X-Men. Yeah.
I don't see Jim going back to X-Men ever. I mean, Jim Lee, and okay. As an artist, you'll never hear me say a bad thing about Jim Lee, ever.
He's not writing, so yeah, it's not his fault.
But as somebody who runs a business, in my viewpoint, the only thing I can think of why he's doing all this disaster is real simple. They ripped his universe apart. He had a deal. They did something with his universe, and Wildstorm got blown out of the water. And now he's just systematically destroying it from the inside.
Well, they got rid of Daniel Cherry, and I've never heard of a replacement being named.
I know.
So they're without a publisher, and they've been without a publisher for months. So there's nobody driving that wagon.
The way I understand it is Lee's editor in chief. So and then they so it's like they're playing. Oh, just write whatever you want and do that. And this they need the one thing they got to quit doing, and because it doesn't. And I'm not bashing this. I'm just saying it doesn't sell. This Pride Month, this stuff. Nobody that buys comic books wants to read it.
Yeah.
Nobody buys it. Nobody reads it. It doesn't sell.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not bashing the community in any shape, way, or form. I'm just saying the community that reads and buys comic books doesn't want to read it. It may work in another platform like novels or something. That's cool. But in comic books, nobody wants to read it. That's why the sales are in the tank.
Yeah.
And
one of the things that I was reading the other day, that one of the news, they're actually putting out for Pride Month an Iceman title where I guess they're focusing in on his, gay relationships now that came.
Well, that's all the Iceman titles have been focused in on that. There's never been an adventure.
They haven't had anything in a long time, but the artwork on that cover made them look like kids.
Oh, that looked like they were part of Power Pack.
It did. It really did. It looked just like they took it straight from Power Pack. But you got to stop because it doesn't sell. Nobody wants it. Nobody reads it. I mean, when you had one character like Batwoman or who was it that came out and was it North Star that came out in DC? I mean Marvel.
North Star came out years ago, way
I'm
before
talking,
Iceman.
I'm talking about way back.
Yeah.
When you had one character come out, that was stunning and brave. But when you have every character come out, it doesn't matter.
It's nauseating.
Okay, because now what's going to be stunning and brave, and I'm going to say this, and I don't mean to be mean or anything like that, but the one character that would be stunning and brave in the DC or Marvel universe is the conservative Christian male who loves his wife.
Yep.
And has a stable relationship with his wife. You put that in the book, that's your new stunning and brave. Sorry to say it, but that's the new stunning and brave.
Hey, you'll be able to find that eventually in Cross Comics.
and that's a good.
Look at the Steins. I did it in the Steins. I'm serious. If you got book 2, you know what happened in Steins book 2. You know what happened. Mary and Albert got married in book 2.
Robert's asked a question.
Yeah, he's at. I didn't know if he was asking us because or if he was asking the guys who just came back from conventions if they saw any Sonichu for sale at conventions. I don't even know.
I don't even know what that is.
I think it's something made out of seaweed. I don't know. No, I have no idea what you're talking about, Robert. So I wouldn't. I've definitely not seen it at conventions. Geek Hero Bubba just got back from the Muskegee Renaissance Festival. I think
I bet that was fun. I bet that was fun.
His family is part of the if not the main impetus of running that festival. We met up, Bubba and I did at the Northwest Arkansas.
Bubba Fest? That's the Bubba Fest guy?
Yeah. So we met up there. Took a big old selfie.
I remember Tug went there like a year.
I hope it was very successful. Geek Hero, I really do. I hope you had a lot of people show up. I hope it was successful. You can do it next year. I wish you guys all the best because I love going to Renaissance fairs. We have one here. We have Scarborough Fair here over in Mesquite every year, and it's always a blast. And they actually have jousting at that one. So
sweet.
It's fun.
Sweet. All right, guys, let's go. We'll go counterclockwise tonight in honor of our pop-in guest here, Rick from Cross Comics, and tell us what y'all are doing and where we can find you. So we'll start with Chris.
Oh, you mean Rick?
Cross. Yeah, you.
Well,
I just look at the names down here, and some people put their companies.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll start with Cross.
You said Chris, I'm like, I was
Chris isn't even here tonight.
Anyways, I am going to be launching my next 2 books on the 24th of June, Canadian Shield 2, Snowdrift #1, over on Indiegogo. You can sign up now for the pre-launch. You sign up and buy something, you get a card with Eric Ninatowski art on a trading card. And you can find me here and on Twitter under Cross Comics.
All right. James?
1 second. Share screen.
And we do have the link, by the way, for the Steins universe over here. Oh, and an explanation for Sonic. Sonichu is based on a creature with Sonic the Hedgehog and Pikachu as parents. It's a rabbit hole to insanity. Okay, so Sonichu, so it'll be a toy of sorts. That's kind of cool. Why not? And I know what this is.
Yeah, this is the cover to the Steins 3, the Battle of Tiamat. This is going to be the cover. It hasn't been colored yet. I got to get it over to Gabe so he can color it. But Steins book 3 is coming out in August. Comic books, like I said, as soon as I get Pedro Ang's video, we will start doing the mailer. And hopefully we'll have the comic books out mid-early next year. But yeah, this is the Steins. This is the final of the trilogy. This is where everything in the kitchen sinks gets blown up. So yeah, this is the war. This is Carmella. Carmella, you find out that, and I can give this away because it kind of tells in book 2. Carmella is actually the first bride of Dracula, the girl Dracula actually loves, but she wants revenge on Von Kampfen and his family. So it's a vampire war with a lot of werewolves involved. So if you want the books, get over to the website. You can also find them on Amazon. But book 3 comes out in August. So look for that.
All right. we will definitely be watching for that, and you'll be coming on here to promote it, and probably making the rounds on all the other shows too, I would imagine.
Yep, I sure will.
Robert tells us that Sonichu is a comic book, and by golly, if he's not totally correct, there it is, from CWC Comics, drawn in 2017, so it's been out for a while, by Christine Weston Chandler. Interesting. So I guess that's probably her there. Go, Sonichu, go out and zap to the extreme. Okay. That's kind of cool. People get creative with stuff. So, Mike, we're up to you, man. Tell us what you do and where you're at.
All right. Well, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 Central, 9 Eastern, I am on the Mic Stand, which is a show Monday through Thursday where we do each newscast, where I basically go through articles from like Founding into Comics, CBR, Critical Blast, whatever other sources I can find. Go through articles covering different areas of niche, primarily comics and anime, but we do touch upon like manga, cartoons, pro wrestling as well. And I do have a nightly segment called This Day in Each History. And then on Friday is our historical comic retrospect. My normal co-host, Batgoat, will be back with me this week, from what I understand, in which we take a deep dive looking back in time to, comics history. Right now, last week we started our coverage of February 1939 with looking through books that went on sale from DC and looking at some history stuff there. This Friday, we'll be looking at comics that went on sale from Dell Comics, focusing in on primarily on The Comics, and that's the name of the book, The Comics, Volume 1, Number 7, as that was the last issue of that particular feature, as well as maybe we'll take a little look at Crackajack Bunnies, Volume 1, Number 10, and then some summary work on Super Comics, and I believe the first book of the Four Color series, also, that Dick Tracy and the Bank or something like that. I think that when some of my notations, some of the notes I was reading on that were saying that was part of the Four Color series that started in 39. So of course, since this will be the first time since we hit 39 that we're getting in Dell, I'll probably be doing some stuff, looking up some history, seeing if there's anything significant to point out about it. And
it's going to be harder and harder. It's going to be harder and harder for you to pick a comic book as you get into the 39s and 40s, because the industry was like on
exploding.
fire.
Yeah. I mean, basically, and I get that, RJ. I'm already thinking ahead to that, figuring out like next, like when I hit DC again in a few weeks, probably on July 8th, I believe. I'm the only two books I'm going to be looking at are All American #1 and movie comics #1, but only because those are first issues. I may do some quick summaries or notations on like action and all that, but yeah, but I explained all that during my interview with you back on April 30th. Yep. So if you guys want to get a better idea, just my thought process and how I make my decisions and stuff like that, you can go back and check that out as well on Critical Blast here. Check out the interview that I did with him back on April 30th. So I think that's all I got for that tonight.
And the link to the Mic Stand is right below. Click and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. I'm laughing at the chat because Robert's talking about this Sonichu author here. He says there's a 5-hour brief introduction in quotes on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm right now at 149 subscribers, so I'm like just one away from 150. What I may do if I get over 150 and I stay over 150, I may do a special panel stream like we did the other day, RJ.
Okay.
Where I may invite some of the people to come in and just hang out and talk and do a celebratory kind of open topic. If I get to and over 150 subscribers, I may do a celebratory. So just a heads up for you guys on that.
All right, we'll watch for that. And if you've absolutely got nothing to do later this week, there's a 45-hour documentary about the author of Sonichu. Yeah. Okay. Wow. 45. That's. I don't think Lincoln's biographies take that long to put together.
Well,
with that,
and that'd be quite a thing to watch if you're going to sit there and try to watch it straight through. That's you're basically trying to stay awake and stay conscious for
2 days.
2+ days.
Yes.
Well, I think he's sort of playing with us. I don't think it's actually 45 hours.
Oh, I'm going to take him at his word. He's never lied to me yet.
Could you just imagine that though? It's like.
I don't think he's lying to us so much as just, trolling us.
Oh, I know. Guys.
Maybe he means not 45 hours. Maybe he simply means 4.5 hours. Maybe
no, because it was a 5-hour brief introduction. So that's 50 hours.
A brief introduction?
No, look, he says it's in 63 parts. So it's this is something to EFAP. I could EFAP this for days on end.
I mean, even
for a month.
The woman who created Inuyasha and Rama 1/2, her life story is only an hour and a half on YouTube.
Actually, there were some
news
about her this last week too, because they're doing a reboot of another one of her series. Yurusei Yatsura.
Yes, her the one that made her famous. Yes, that. Oh God, that's the one that I kind of ran into. That one and Ramen 1/2 were the two that I ran into when I went to Japan the first time.
Oh dear God! Never mind. I just realized. Damn you, Robert. Sonichu is the creation of Chris Chan, and if you want a rabbit hole, Google Chris Chan.
Chris Chan didn't he get busted for some real nasty stuff?
You'll have to ask his mother, or her mother, or their mother. I
think I kind of know where you're going.
Yeah, it was. Oh, what a way to end the show. Yes, the closing credits, Chris Chan. That's all you need to know. Guys, thanks for showing up. Folks in the chat, appreciate y'all being here. We don't have a show without you. So we're glad you're here. And as always, while you were here, we just hope you had a blast. Good night.
Good night.